Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to give a brief overview of our analog system. Now this is a system we developed quite a while ago, but it is a workhorse and we actually still have about 100 of them out in the field. It's a very simple system. You're basically switching videos, channel up and down, controls the time, has an on-screen display, tell you how much time is left, what channel you have on. And it just consists of a few main components. This is going to be the main brain, the CE as we call it. And this is basically going to run each one of the booths. Each one of these slots goes to a booth. And on the back, we have a connector board where you're going to connect all of your DVD players and media players. In addition to that, you're going to have a computer. And all this does is it sends and receives information. So you don't have to worry about if the computer crashes or something, it's going to take down your booths. It's not. You can operate the system without it. You're also going to have a media player that's going to generate the standby video, which is, welcome to whatever the name of your store is, that plays in the booths before somebody goes in there. And then you're also going to have a separate TV with a handset, which we call a tracking TV. And this allows you to go through every one of your DVD players or media players, make sure they're running properly. I don't have one of those here, but it's very simple. It's basically a cable that connects to a box, has a little handset, hit the credits, channel up and down, very simple. So you can use any DVD player you want. You can buy them at Walmart, Amazon, you can use media players, whatever you like. So in this demonstration, we're using the 2700, which is our industrial DVD player. And this is a very unique player, unlike anything else on the planet. So if you think of every DVD player that's out there, the disc is spinning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there's constantly a motor, there's a laser that's moving back and forth constantly all day long, every day. And eventually one of those will go out and then that kills the player. What's unique about our player is it buffers all the content from the disc down to internal RAM. So you can think of like a USB. So once everything's on the USB, the RAM, the disc stops spinning and you essentially have a media player. So, this could last 10 years, 20 years. There's no moving parts. There's also no heat. So I have 20 players stacked on top of each other, 10 and 10, and there's basically no heat. So you can stack them up like this. You can also do them portrait mode if you want. But it's really simple. All you have is you have a connector on the back, or I'm sorry, cable on the back. You have your audio, you have your video, and then of course power. And that's going to be the same with any player you use on your own, just audio video. That's all you need is to connect there. And then on the back of the connector board, which is on the back of this, so you have player 1, player 2, player 3, blah, blah, blah. So we have 20, you can do 30, you can do 40, you can do 10, doesn't matter. The only other connector is the SB, which is standby, which is, like I said, the media player that's generating the video that goes into the booth. The computer itself, it's going to give you, it's going to give you which booth is in use. They're all vacant right now. It'll also give you your channel activity. So it'll basically sort it by percentage and it'll tell you, which movie's being watched the most, which one's being watched the least. It also has an income per booth section. So you can see how much money you're generating per booth. And then you also have an hourly income. So you can see how much you're generating, per hour, see what your peak hours are, and it'll generate it for a day, give you a total for the day, and then it keeps it for a week. So some pretty simple configurations you can set up here also. You can decide, how much time you're going to give per dollar. You can decrease the time as your booths get busier. So say you have 10 booths and you want to decrease the time by 20%. If 8 of them are full, something like that, you can adjust that. You can decide how many credits show on the screen for $1. So $1 could be 100 credits or 400 credits or 10 credits or whatever you like. Just a lot of little details on there, which you can set up. So all you have is, like I said, you have this one cable that's going to come from the system and it's going to connect to the back of what we call the UBC board. So this is the Universal Booth Controller. So that's going to connect there. You have a simple power cord that connects to your power supply. You have a DIN wire here that connects to the back, and that will go to your occupied and vacant light. After that, you have a phone cord here, which is basically a Cat5 cable, and that's going to connect to your touch panel, which is in most applications. There are some people that still want to use mechanical buttons, so we make a harness for that just connects somewhere different. The touch panel, if you're using our housings, it's already built into the housing and it's pre-connected to the speaker. and it's pre-connected to the bill acceptor. So I'm just going to tap these together just to kind of give it some credits so you can see, okay, we're on channel 4, we have 96 credits left, and then you can just scroll through the channels. So channel 7, 86 credits left, and then the volume is controlled on this box itself. So if you have a booth where the TV's behind it, you're not going to hear the sound out of the TV. The speaker is going to be mounted to the front. So you can adjust the volume, you can adjust the channel. You also have a setting in there where you can decide, okay, when I get down to 30 credits or 20 credits, then I want them to know that they're getting low because the time is hidden. This running clock, that's just something we have on our videos for testing, so that's just something you could ignore. The only other thing these boxes have is an alarm wire, an alarm switch. So on the front of your housing, you can connect the alarm switch, or if you have a bill acceptor door, you can connect it on there. And if the alarm goes off, it's going to sound here, so you can see how we're getting low on time. And once you're running out of time, it's just going to go back to the standby. So the system, aside from that, I mean, it's very simple. You really have just one cable that goes from the system to the computer that communicates back and forth. We have this key. This is in the normal position, basically normal operating. If you're going to take money out of the booth, you flip it to AC, which is alarm clear. So now you can go to the booth and open the doors without the alarms going off. And then when you're done, you flip it back up. If you ever have any kind of an issue, which is very, very rare, you can just do a reset, which is you turn the key clockwise and turn it back. Very straightforward, very simple. When you get the system, it's not going to have the slave board or the master controller in it, but these are very easy to install. So you just mainly just want to line up the rails. You just want to make sure the board is in the rails, and you're going to just slide it back. You kind of watch it on the back, you make sure it's lined up, and then you just give it a little push, and then it takes care of itself. The slave board is the same concept, except you got to give it a little extra push and make sure it's perfectly aligned, because there's a lot of connectors on the back of this thing. So this is the way that it should look. You should have the bottom light on, the next light up should be blinking, and then the top light, the red one there, should also be blinking. They could be different colors, but you basically have 3 lights, solid on, 2 blinking. That means it's communicating with this. So I'm just going to take this out and just show you, how to get this thing in and out. So there are a ton of connectors on the back of this and a lot of pins, so you got to make sure you get this right. So basically just start on the bottom here and then line up the top. I don't have my glasses, so. All right, so we're just going to slide this in, and I basically usually just kind of get it in there, lay it like that, and then I feel it on the back just to make sure the connectors are all lined up properly. And then I kind of just give it a little push, and you really have to use your thumbs. So you push the bottom, push the top, in, bottom, top, and it's still moving. So when people ask, like, oh, it's not working, it's usually because the board's not in. You have to press pretty hard. Like, imagine you're trying to dent your car door. So rock it top and bottom. And then these things plug in. These are just according to your booth number. So if this is the cable for booth number 1, plug it in the top slot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then when you have the tracking TV, which is the thing you're going to use to check your DVDs, you just put it in the last slot. And if you have 2 boards, put in the next slot. So if you have more than 8 booths and you have separate boards, put them right next to each other. Don't put one here and then the next one way over here. They need to be in a row, otherwise they won't work. If you connect this and you don't have the light working properly, you can just do a reset and then you just go back to normal. You're in the normal position when the little red light is on there. So that's kind of the general overview of the system. Very easy to install, very easy to maintain. The only tip I have is when you're changing DVD players and they're not our players, you want to disconnect the power first and then disconnect the RCAs. The reason for this is a lot of the more inexpensive players, they're doing something that's basically like a filter. They're putting high voltage on these ground leads of the player. So if the center conductor hits the outside of this, or if your, say, metal rack has some potential voltage on it and you touch something metal, you're basically sending voltage back into the video of the system, and it could blow the board which isn't a big deal. You can just change the board out. It's not the end of the world. But to avoid that, when you change the player, you do the RCAs first, and then you put the power in. And that's just to protect yourself. But aside from that, it's a very sturdy, very reliable system. We have people that have these in operation for 5 to 10 years, and we never hear from them. So they're workhorses, and this is just kind of a general overview of how it works and how to set it up. Thanks for watching.